Oh man, Bird, guess what? The Switch is underpowered. Look at my arms, look at my muscles. I have power, but we're hearing that the Switch 2 is underpowered. What do you think? But is it really? So information is coming out about the games and ports being released for the Nintendo Switch 2. Just the past couple days, there was the Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on event in New York. I'm not relevant enough to get an invite to the city, so I'm just here talking to a porcelain bird because I'm a weirdo. But information is coming out now about the games that are being released for the Switch 2, and one of them is a new old game, Cyberpunk 2077. And the information coming back about how it performs on the Switch 2, well, it isn't great. This information comes from Digital Foundry, and what they said is that Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2, well, good luck having it hit 30 FPS in its current state. A lot of times it frequently drops down below to 25 FPS, for that that cinematic feeling. Come on, man. You don't want high frame rates and high refresh rates. You want the cinematic experience like Ubisoft said back in the day. And we know how great of a game developer they are, and the resolution can drop down to 540p in handheld mode, and it's 1080p docked. Also, too, this comes from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, if that name rings a bell to you. He used to work at Kotaku as well, and here's some of the information he got about the Switch 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. Some other Switch 2 observations. The quote-unquote Welcome Tour app is surprisingly cool. One minigame reminded me of Mario Paint, and it is insane that Nintendo is charging for it. I agree. But that's a story for another day. Metroid looks and feels fantastic, and Cyberpunk 2077 runs at 40 FPS in performance mode while docked. Oof. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, I saw this whole Cyberpunk situation with the Switch 2 being shared all over social media, and look, this isn't coming from a diehard Nintendo fanboy, but I think people are looking into this too much. I mean, let's keep it real. Even if you have a more powerful handheld, or hell, even a really decent graphics card, what are you turning on those graphics cards? Whether you have AMD or an NVIDIA GPU, you're turning on Fidelity FX, which is the AMD side. And if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you're turning on deep learning super sampling, which the Nintendo Switch 2 has. Now, I almost forgot to bring this up. Thank God I thought of it now. Digital Foundry said they aren't seeing any signs of deep learning super sampling, which is NVIDIA's image reconstruction tech. They take a lower resolution image, like say 720p, for example, or even lower, and they reconstruct it to the native resolution of your monitor or whatever resolution you want, like 1080p, 1440p, or 4K. So they take the low-res image, they use their AI reconstruction technology to, it's not just upscaling, but they bring it up to the resolution that you want. And a lot of times, if it's good enough, deep learning super sampling, I think, is the best tech out there from NVIDIA, you can't really tell the difference. Usually, sometimes. It's like 50-50. Deep learning super sampling does the best job, though. And if you have a Lenovo Legion Go or a Steam Deck, which can play Cyberpunk 2077, or ROG Ally, what do you think you're doing to get that game running at a playable frame rate? You're using Fidelity FX, because all of those game consoles I just mentioned, or handheld PCs, I should call them, are using AMD integrated graphics. And to get Cyberpunk 2077 to work at a decent frame rate, of course they're using image reconstruction. They're not running that game at native resolutions. It would be a slideshow. Now, I see a lot of people saying, this is a $500 console. This should run games way better than this. First off, they haven't fully optimized Cyberpunk 2077 yet for the Switch 2. So relax your breasts, put them on the table, put a bra on, and stop losing your mind. Okay? They haven't finished working on the game yet. Secondly, what I understand, like, you could get a PS5 for the same price, or a Series X for the same price, or a Series S for cheaper, which I've heard that the Switch 2 is more powerful than a Steam Deck, but not as powerful as a Series S, which I can believe. But comparing a portable console with all the tech that's inside of it to a home console is ridiculous. Comparing it to a PS5 or Series X, meaning it can be compared to it. You know, Digital Foundry, when they come out with ports of Elden Ring for the Switch 2 and other AAA games that are also going to be on current gen consoles, you know those comparisons are going to be there. But there's no way you can expect the same performance and same visuals from a hybrid console that's meant to be portable, running at a much lower wattage than your Series X, PlayStation 5, or PC. There's no way you can expect it to give you the same graphics, same visuals, same frame rate as those other pieces of hardware, even if it is the same price. What you're paying for is how much technology they put in there and how capable they made the Switch 2 for it being a portable device. So my point being is that this news doesn't disappoint me. What I'm here to tell you is to temper your expectations. Don't expect the Switch 2 to give you the same experience that you're going to get on a full-fledged home console or even a lower mid-range gaming PC. If they did that and they made it that capable, one, it would be a hell of a lot more expensive, which people are already complaining about the price. And secondly, the battery life would be even worse, which that's probably the biggest Achilles heel to me with the Switch 2, is the battery life. On the low end, they're saying it could only get 2 hours. So if you're playing a game that has 120 FPS and it has crazy visuals and ray tracing and the whole nine, which I don't think they're going to be able to get a ray traced game to run at 120 FPS in there, but maybe they'll surprise me. Good luck getting more than 2 hours out of it. But if they put a more powerful SoC inside of the Nintendo Switch 2, you'd be paying a ton of money and you'd be complaining that you have to charge it every 30 minutes. So look, I thought the original Nintendo Switch would have only had a shelf life of a few years, like 3 years, because its Tegra X1 inside of there was outdated. But they released the original Switch in 2017, and the Switch 2 isn't even out yet, and it's 2025. So if they got that underpowered turd, I like the original Switch. I have a Switch OLED, don't get me wrong, but the original Switch came out of the gate underpowered. The Switch 2, yes, it's not going to be as powerful as current gen consoles, home consoles that is coming out way more capable than the original Nintendo Switch was anywhere near. And it's 10 times more powerful, according to NVIDIA, than the original Nintendo Switch. So stop looking at it from a glass half empty perspective. Also give the developers more time to get used to the hardware and implement things like deep learning super sampling. And then from there, give an educated opinion when the games are on retail shelves or when they're about to be released. Listen, if the ports still suck, I will rip them a new one. I assure you, I am not sitting here being a cheerleader for Nintendo. I just think that right now people are jumping the gun. Let's just hope, due to the tariffs, that the Switch doesn't cost $1,000. I'm just saying. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh. Hey, if you watched the whole video, what the hell are you doing? You're not subbed yet? Click that sub button. I live stream here all the time. We have a good time. Make sure to become a subscriber. It's free. Click the button now and hit that bell too. Be a man.